What is up, everybody? You're watching / listening to the McAllister Hours. I'm your host, as always, Cole McAllister. Sorry for the lack of a live episode last weekend. We were in Orlando, Florida, believe it or not. Crazy stuff. Guest host today, Joseph Rosenbaum. How you doing today, man? So today I wanted to talk about our trip here in where we went in Orlando, Florida. Probably the most expensive thing I've ever done. And I went on a fucking honeymoon, and that shit was nothing compared to what we did for 5 days in Orlando, Florida at the Rosen Shingle Creek. Disclaimer before I go on this rant, I want everybody to know I'm not bashing the school who did this. I'm not bashing Molly who took me along at all.
Nobody forced you to go.
Nobody forced me to go. This was entirely my decision. I wanted to support Molly. Some backstory. Mostly paid for. Yes, mostly paid for by her. The plane ticket and everything was paid by her. Basically the whole thing was that I got to come along. I had an opportunity to come on, so I was like, fuck it, because it's Florida, why not? And what she was doing is she was finishing a residency for school. So I'm not at all trashing that. I am going to relentlessly trash both the hotel and the Uber driver. Just the various Uber drivers, actually. I don't think you can really get a sense for the city until you talk to an Uber driver. Or a Lyft. Only Uber, though. Lyfts are more expensive, so they're cuntier, So we get to Florida, right? Land in Florida. The flight up there is it was an interesting experience. I hadn't flown since 2014. Molly had never flown before. So this was a interesting expedition we were going on. 2 flights, Chicago, Miami, or not Miami, Orlando. Duh. So we get to Florida. We had a Lyft. We had Lyft planned out in advance because I'm a fucking idiot and I've only really experienced a limited amount of airports. And I did not realize that there was a shuttle. This is how big this fucking place was. There was a shuttle from where the airplanes landed to where the gate was. And we were like a fucking half hour behind. A, because of the flight, and B, because we didn't take in this time account. And I'm talking on the phone with this, extremely Hispanic lady. No English.
Spoke English.
Okay, I shouldn't say no English. I'm ranting. I got whiskey. I'm exaggerating the story. It was nightmarish, though. I could not understand her to save my life. Molly, who is way, more intellectual in that, understanding people, with different dialects. This is going to sound racist as fuck, but it's just true. There are certain dialects.
You barely understand English.
Exactly.
How many times do I have to repeat myself for you to hear me?
I'm just going to put the mic on.
Okay.
Molly's about to be mic. You're talking enough,
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm not talking to Molly. Molly's dead. Molly's.
Well, that's supposed to be me?
No, this is Joseph Rosenbaum.
Oh, I'm just a ghost?
What?
So I'm just a ghost?
You're just a ghost helping host the show. Anyways, so this lady was fucking impossible to talk to. Rude as fuck. Hung up on us twice. I managed to dispute the whole thing. But I mean, they really need to have a clearer, because I saw this no, that was Uber. Uber has the section where they list the languages, and Lyft probably doesn't. And I don't know. This sounds shitty, but if it's one thing to speak English, it's another thing to make yourself understand it. Understand, people to understand you.
You can't help that.
No, you can't help it, but I mean, I should be able to know that when I'm renting an Uber.
It's not even the fact that she didn't, she was hard to understand. It's that she was being a dick.
Yeah, well, exactly. She was hanging up. She was being rude. She wasn't being helpful at all. We were we explained to her we're not from the area. We don't know what's happening. And yeah, I mean, and so that was the initial taste of Florida. So Molly got, I think you were probably half hour late?
40 minutes.
Damn, 40 minutes late?
Yes.
Jeez. But despite that, you did very, very well. And I'm proud of you for, doing great on your school. But I mean, let's focus on the food. I had a real problem with the food. Because the food that is in this hotel, I know exactly the kind of people who eat this food. They're the motherfuckers who have a fucking 4-day weekend, and they go to these places, and it's this is their vacation. It's go golf and get drunk all day, and they're drinking martinis at fucking 2:00 in the afternoon, and then they order a plate of loaded nachos with cream, mushroom, fucking baked potato, 5 pounds of meat that's been soaked in 50 spices for a year on this fucking $25 plate of nachos, and they have 3 bites of it, and they're this is so rich. Now flash to someone who is very anxious, has had a horrible day, who cannot eat, who cannot apparently buy legal marijuana in Florida, and having to try to eat food at this caliber. It did not work well for me. The amount of money I spent attempting to eat food at this place was monstrous. And the beer wasn't even that good. They had, what was it called? They had because they capitalized on the whole Florida, they had swamp beer, alligator piss, and it was just, you could tell that it was of that caliber. I think Iowa fucking brews are way more impressive, way more flavorful. I mean, I don't know, there was something just about the aurora of people who were staying at that place.
The aura?
Aura. And another reason why we have a assistant here, folks. Woo!
Yeah, drink some water. I will say, even I had free food.
Yeah.
I had 2 free meals a day, breakfast and lunch. And one of the ways that we bonded was shit talking how awful the food was.
Yeah.
And how it was just what the fuck are we eating?
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing people don't really realize about hotels is the food is the same everywhere.
No, it's not.
No, it really...
Cheap hotels, the food is way better.
No, Molly, I've worked in places, I'm telling you, I've worked both in fine, I guess not fine hotels, but fine dining and events in very high, ranking established hotels. I'm telling you, there's no difference. There's absolutely no difference of what happens behind the scenes. There's some guys, they hire the same exact people to do the exact same job, kinds of people. There's no
I'm saying, from what I have experienced being in hotels, that this food, compared to other places where it's not so hoity-toity. They were literally trying to be fancy, and it was just gross.
And they just failed.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Other hotels that I've been to, the food's been really good and stuff like that. Okay? So I know what the fuck I'm talking about because I'm talking about my personal experiences.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump to say that your experience wasn't valid. I wasn't. This is a common problem with the Count Sours that has been pointed out to me several times, is that I have a terrible time listening.
Yeah.
To the guests, but Molly especially. because I'm an asshole. How we're going to repair this is beyond me. But
we're gonna have to find a new assistant. Eventually, I'm just gonna give up.
Joseph, what do you think, man? What do you think?
Says yes, you are being an asshole.
Yeah, he agrees. Yeah, you know, but it would be, you know, it would be like him to disagree.
Who even the fuck is this supposed to be?
He was one of the pedos that Rittenhouse shot. Not one of the pedos, the pedo. One of the people that got shot.
Here we go. Still people.
Well, people is implied in pedos. I mean, it's not like they're animal pedophiles, you know. I mean, they probably are, but it's not like a classification, you know. It's just nature at that point. It's just like, that's fucked up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, bro? You ever see a Planet Earth documentary? It's full of child rape all the time. It's awful. But like, I don't know, there were just elements of this hotel that were just off. You know, it was weird. Another weird thing that happened was Shaquille O'Neal stayed at the fucking the executive or presidential suite.
He's in the presidential suite.
Is that the top tier? I assume. You think presidential is like the top tier of hotels, right? That's what I thought. Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, you know, that just like shows. That was one of the things that really pissed me off about the hotel. Is like the class divide was crazy. Like the only way that you can enjoy yourself at this hotel is if you have a lot of money. You have to pay for parking. You have to pay for like if you want like half decent Wi-Fi, you have to pay for it. I know these motherfuckers that are living in the presidential suite have good Wi-Fi because they pay $30 a night. I know that they give the people who don't pay for it really shitty Wi-Fi intentionally, and like that was just like the entire structure of the hotel. And it just was, and again, not knocking anybody, it was just really hard to enjoy yourself. It was frustrating because you're there in this like nice place, and it's like, okay, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything, but like you don't realize just like the base level expense. What was it at the fucking this is different, this is the airport, but like kind of the same metric. What was it, like $4.50 for a Sprite in the fucking Chicago O'Hare, right? O'Hare. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah. Oh, the marijuana experience, that was fucking awful. Took an Uber to the pod shop because it was like we had done all this traveling. We had been traveling since 5 a.m. Iowa time Thursday, and
no.
Well, we hadn't been traveling.
We left here at 6 a.m.
Yeah, okay, sorry. We left here at 6 a.m. We started flying probably around 8:30, right? 8:30 in the morning. So we had been traveling like that whole day. You know, we got there later that afternoon, and like a couple hours later, I finally was like on my way to the pot shop. And granted, part of this is my fault because I didn't do the proper research for whether I was able to buy marijuana in the state. And unfortunately, I was not. And I didn't find this out until paying for the Uber and arriving at the shop. And when you know, inquiring about this and showing my ID, the guy was, you know, a douchebag enough to say, you know, you should check that before you got here. Well, you know, maybe you should put that on your website, you dumb cunt. You know, how about that? It just, you know, this is the tone that was set the night. And while driving, my Uber driver was taking me along. I was like I said before, you know, that's how you find out. You know, how do you like Florida? I fucking hate it. You know, she explained like, you know, how all 50 states merge in this place. And you know, it's the only it's like one of the only cultures of people who like dreads the weekend. You know, it's crazy. The weather's nice. I did eventually find some Delta 8. There's a CBD store down the road, diet weed as they call it. And yeah, I mean, I was able to survive with that. I wasn't able to eat. I feel like now I'm just finally getting over like the diarrhea from like readjusting from food, because I just have always had eating problems, and marijuana's really helped me with that. So yeah, anyways, anything else, Molly? No comments?
I wasn't there for any of that.
Yeah. I felt really bad for you. You only went outside like twice because you were so crazy busy, you know?
Yeah.
It was just, you're doing lectures all day, and then you had to go to bed early, but you got done. Fuck. Yeah. And I don't know, the airports are crazy. TSA's, and you can talk about TSA all day, but another thing I was really pissed about, I paid $65 for this fucking COVID test. Actually, so the first COVID test I got through Walgreens, and I fucked up putting in my birthday, and apparently it was impossible for them to change the day that I was supposed to, or the day of my birth, I should say. They were not able to change it in the input. I'm like, you can't just fucking do this. Like, no, it's not gonna pull up in the airport. So I should have just fucking done that. But anyways, I was worried about not being able to fly, because they say like you can't go without a test or vax, which is bullshit. But we go, and I go and pay $65 to get an official COVID test, and it's on my phone just to get everything. And we go through the entire thing. We go from Des Moines to Orlando, Florida, 2 flights, and they never fucking check it ever. And it's just stupid. Like, they hold people to this standard, like, supposedly they're like, oh, hey, you need to comply, but then we're not going to actually enforce anything because, nobody really wants to get into that skirmish, which is understandable. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't want to, like, get in some altercation because they're not wearing their mask properly. I mean, I don't know. But anyways, the thing that really frustrated me was towards the end, where this guy is fucking has his mask down, is like just pouring nuts into his fucking mouth, and like obnoxiously chewing, like his mouth like open right in front of this guy.
He was chewing bubble gum.
It was bubble gum?
Yeah. He never poured anything into his mouth.
Were you not watching him?
I was watching while you were pooping.
So he must have been, he was eating nuts before that.
I was watching. Okay.
I don't know. I thought I saw him. I could be very wrong. I could be wrong. I probably am. But I thought I saw him like eating nuts or something. Anyways, but it was just obnoxious because he has his mask down. He's just breaking this thing, and the guy who had been wearing 2 masks and was sanitizing his gloves, he had no problem with it. After like a guy up front was yelling at somebody for not chewing with his, not putting his mask up after chewing, So it was a frustrating trip. It wasn't all bad. I got some good pictures. The arcade was awesome. The weather was nice. I got to take some walks. Got other pictures. It wasn't all bad, but last time I'm probably going to Florida if I can help it. And yeah, expensive ass trip. I don't know. Water. When you talk for 20 minutes straight, your mouth gets dry. This is fucking, I found this fucking crazy, cringy, and hilarious. And, it just shows how crazy things are that this has not been talked about. Do you mind going to YouTube and typing in Joe Biden Negro comment? It's like the Veterans Day one. Shit's fucking crazy. This is the president of the United States. I'm talking like we're in the 50s. Yes, that top one.
I know. Thank you. Want to welcome all the cabinet members and honored guests joining us today, including the father of our Secretary of State, who served in the Army Air Corps during World War II, Ambassador Donald Blinken, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday. Thank you for your service to our country. And I just want to tell you...
What do you think is his run
I
time?
know you're a little younger than I am.
I don't know.
But, I've adopted the attitude of the great Negro pitcher in the Negro Leagues, went on to become a great pitcher in the pros.
Pause
Major League
it,
Baseball.
please. Yeah,
Jackie
that's enough of
Robinson.
that. That's where it ends. Because I mean, you could say context, but like to use that word in the free form way that he did is just ridiculous. I don't know. It just really shows the out of touch. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. And, this happened like a week ago, and it's like you just find it. I feel like now we're at the point where we just find out about stuff like a week later. Because there's some central thing that happens, but really there's like so many other things that happen and you don't find out about it until later. I don't know. It's interesting. Shit. I know this is kind of a shorter episode, but I don't really have anything else to talk about. Rittenhouse happened. I don't really have much to comment about that. It happened. It's whatever. Yeah, that's it. There's the verdict, and that's what happened. I don't know, Molly. You got any other thing? Nothing. Yeah, kind of a weird episode. We're going to my parents later, for dinner. I forgot my hazmat suit, but we're gonna have a good time. And because I haven't seen him in a while. I took a COVID test, and I figured, I would not have guessed. I probably could have found one, but, I thought we'd riff. But, Joseph here hasn't really been that helpful. Come on, man. Slacking. Worst guest, by far. All right. Anything else? Nothing? All right. Motherfuckers. We'll be back next weekend with two female rappers. Let me look that up. I know this is entirely unprofessional of me to not have this memorized or written down because I don't remember it. Nala and Gletta Glow. Two female rappers. Excuse me. Two female rappers in the area. Should be a fun time.